Welcome to the Drive to Draw podcast, episode 1. Joined in the studio here with Phil Fechner. Mate, welcome to the podcast and welcome to the listeners.
Thank you very much. A pleasure, Pete. To hear about it a couple of weeks ago, we sort of touched base, and it's all come good.
It's been a couple of years in the making.
Yeah,
been sort of gathering a bit of equipment and bits and pieces to sort of get us off the ground, but absolutely looking forward to it. And we've got some good topics coming up today, but we've got some good guests coming up over the course of the season.
Looking forward to it.
And the first one's probably that we will promote right now is we've got Nathan Black. We're going to interview him over the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. But let's get into Around the Greens.
Around the Greens.
All right, mate, to kick us off on Around the Greens, over the last couple of weeks, most people would have seen the advertisements that we've got on Facebook in our little group there. Big shout-out goes to Brad and Liv, who have got the bowls tipping up and going for this year. They collated a lot of information between myself and those guys, so hats off to them for some of that, and you'll probably see some more clubs being posted over the next couple of days, but we've got a couple to talk about tonight anyway.
Yep, absolutely. No, it's a credit to them. It's a lot to organise to get it all up and running and run smoothly like it did last year.
Yep.
And so good luck to them.
Should be fun.
Yep.
Hopefully we can talk some tips as we go along and maybe pick a few smokies that might get up. But let's kick off first up with the Premier League. We're going to talk about Hawthorn first up. You got your notes there, mate?
Notes.
Absolutely.
It begins there.
Absolutely. Some huge ins for Hawthorn, mate.
Yeah. Gabe. We'll start with Gabe Nadekia.
Yep.
What fantastic bowler. Payneham for lifelong Payneham.
Yep.
Went to Lockley's last couple years.
Yep.
And obviously you've grabbed him this year there. And super skip. I played under him for 4 or 5 years at Payneham.
Yep.
And just love the man. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to play with him in his rink, but obviously I was in the team at Payneham there, and he used to hate it when we played against Lockley's because I'd always have a day out. So he sort of came to me this year and said, "Hey, happy to have you in the team with me this time rather than against me." So a lot of fun there. But who else from Hawthorn, mate, you've got on your list there?
Yeah, I have. I've got the list here. Look, you run through a few. Brenton Roberts, I don't know the guy.
Came from Marion, from Langhorne Creek. Very, very handy player. Will probably play possibly 3 to Matty Northcott, I would imagine, somewhere in there.
Yep, pretty strong down south, like McLaren Vale and some good bowlers down there.
Absolutely.
Yep. And obviously know the next two, Sue and Jeff Coultis.
Yep.
Ex-Lockleys. And they've been around the traps a little bit, I think, haven't they?
They have.
But,
Well, moving on from Lockley's, I mean, we'll talk about Lockley's a little bit later, but obviously moving for opportunity as well.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know the next guy again, Billy Bennick.
Played at Woodville last year. Pretty handy young fella.
Oh, yes, I do know him.
Yep. Looks like he's got some skills in the kit bag, mate.
Yeah.
And at the moment, finding his way on the grass, moving from obviously Woodville on the carpet or the softer surface there. I expect Billy will have a pretty good year. His form in the preseason's been pretty good. So you'd probably say he might start in the Premier League. And each club needs youth. That's where it gets to, and he's certainly up there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. I know the next one, Steve Packer, obviously ex-Happy Valley, and he's been around a bit.
Left Hawthorn for a year, decided to come back, and looks like he's going to be a bit of a mentor for that second side.
Oh, okay. That's where he's sort of going to be situated.
Yeah, and I think he's quite happy to think that way as well.
Yep. And the last one.
You haven't heard of this guy, I'm sure you haven't.
I don't know. It sort of rings a bell. Pete Matthews.
Yeah, mate. I was off, obviously, last year due to injury, had some back surgery, slowly finding my way back. My trial form's actually been okay. I've put down some pretty decent bowls, but we've had some blustery conditions a couple of times, which has made life a bit interesting. But once you sort of worked it out, it was all good.
Did you play?
We played Marion 2 weeks ago, and then we had an internal last weekend.
Yep.
So, and I
good.
think we've got an internal this weekend, being that it's a long weekend,
Yeah, we're doing
which
the same.
most clubs do as well.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That looks pretty strong. I mean, you're obviously around the mark in the Div 1 last year.
Yep.
Had to recruit, and you've done that. So, looks competitive. So
I think back end, you sort of go, that was probably where Hawthorn might have struggled a little bit 2 years ago when they were in Prem. Just that stability through the back end. And Matty Northcott coming in last year, and then adding obviously Gabe this year, Brenton Roberts, it sort of means that there's
losses.
Not too many losses, not from that top side. Only Ewan, I can't think of his last name, but he was sort of between the top side and the second side anyway. I think he's having a bit of a year off. Yeah.
Oh, year off. Okay.
Hawthorn obviously off to a pretty good start. A bit like the Crows in Port Adelaide. A pluses as far as the recruiting go. We could talk footy all night long.
Let's not.
No, let's not. We could go on for a while there. Obviously, Hawthorn coming up from Division 1. Obviously, getting the chocolates there over Salisbury in the final, and we're the form team basically in Division 1 last year.
Yeah, you were. Yep.
All right, let's move on to Salisbury, mate. Team that surprised a few in Division 1 last year, getting through to the final and getting promoted back up into Premier League.
Yep. Haven't seen what they've gained, but I do see they've lost 3 out of that top Div 1 side. I can see them probably struggling with that. I don't think they've recruited much. If they have, I think Ross McConnell's dad's going there, but he'll probably be in that second side.
Yep.
I think there's another couple from Gawler that could be coming there.
Yep.
Whether they top up that top side, I'm not too sure. But I can see them probably just struggling a bit, just on what we've got here on our notes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said last year, a little bit of a surprise for Salisbury. I think most people would probably agree that Marion were the favourites to probably go back up with Payneham. With Hawthorn.
Yep.
And
where you were there.
Yeah, I did forget. Well, I'm sitting in Payneham at the moment. Obviously Salisbury there got a little bit of work to do, but they seemed pretty buoyant. Brent Marshall gave us his report.
Yep. Good lad,
and seems pretty buoyant about what they might be able to do, and maybe upset a few along the way.
Who knows?
See how we go. Knows? Exactly. Bowls is a funny thing.
It is.
Mate, we move on to Holdfast. Holdfast.
We do. And who we got there?
Jared Goodwin's obviously provided a little bit of a report there.
I see they've lost a few. The gains, I just haven't got the gains down with me here at the moment.
No, that's okay.
But lost Kate Arjun-Bowden, obviously Blackie.
Yes.
Goody.
Yep. Simon Gita Johnson.
Yeah, Gita. He's gone back home. So
Craig Goldfinch is off to Edwardstown.
Goldie's gone to Edwardstown. Yep. So that's a lot of big losses in there.
Absolutely.
Isn't
So their ins is Mark Fettham back to full time. Jackson Harding, obviously for studies, is finished. Josh Van Haren from Northern Territory. No, and Stephen Axon, debut pennant season, 3-time grand final umpire. Right up your alley, mate.
Heard of him? Yeah, I do know the guy. I don't know him, but I've heard of him.
Yep.
Sorry, that's why I couldn't find Holdfast. I've got another Adelaide.
No, that's all right. No, all good. Obviously, Blackie and
I
Kate
didn't know a lot of those ins from, so they're unknown to me, but their losses are wow, isn't it?
Yep. So from what I understand is that Tyson will be coming back and playing a few games. I think Cohen Liffen will be filling in as well.
Played against him last year. He skipped against us that night at Holdfast. We pushed them all away.
Yep. He lost by a couple of shots in the end, didn't he?
Not the team, but our rank did. Yep. And it's a good hit out.
Yep. So I think those guys will come in at various stages throughout the year. So look, I think Holdfast will be around the mark. It's just that at the moment, looking at some of the recruits for some of the other teams we're going to talk about a little bit later, probably make that top 3, top 4 pretty solid. It's going to be a big year.
Yeah, it will. I probably can see them finishing about midfield.
Yeah, sort of 5th, 6th, maybe 7th, absolute worst.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We thank Jared, obviously, for his input there. For Salisbury, we thank Brent Marshall, and for Hawthorn, we thank Matthew Northcott for providing. No, mate, no. I'm not participating as far as the back end stuff goes, but Matty was good enough to give us his thoughts there.
Makes it easier for us.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Division 1. Let's talk about Woodville, mate.
Division 1, Woodville. Well, I know we've got one at Butterfield. Michael Butterfield's come across. Handy bowler. The ins, you're going to have to hit me with the ins, so I didn't get...
So the ins, Ian Kerr transferred from West Lakes. Phil Merchant transferred from West Lakes. Peter Pipworth from Encounter Bay.
Yep.
Paul Banddick from Grange,
Okay.
Peter Vickery from Lockleys, Graham Marshall from Grange, Malcolm Odell from West Lakes. It's a fair list here. Mark Piscini Night Owler from Semaphore, Norman and Anne Pearl from Encounter Base. So they've recruited some.
Down south.
Yeah,
there too.
absolutely.
Wow.
Ivan Stavenger from Para Hills. Apologies for any pronunciations here.
right.
Ron Rebeck from Port Adelaide. Paul Bassents from Walkerville.
Yep.
John Grigger from Butte. And Joe Zanik from Lockleys as well.
wow.
So they've
Yeah.
recruited pretty well. They're outs at Michael Butterfield, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Billy Benchick, which obviously we talked about with Hawthorn there. James Holst, Phil Davies, and Kevin Lambert.
Yeah, not a lot of names I know the other than Butts. He's come across to Walkerville with us,
Yep.
so he's going to be very handy for us. So, yeah.
Well, Doc obviously providing the report there for
Yeah, Doc,
Woodville,
yep.
pretty heavily involved there.
Yep.
They've held on to almost 40 new members or produced 40 new members across the club this year.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's good. And I believe they give free membership for the first year or thereabouts.
or a half price
something
deal.
like
So,
that. Yeah, it's a
they
pretty good
actually
deal.
do pretty
Good
well
on 'em.
there.
Yep.
They've obviously appointed a coach there, Paul Bandick there, looking to
Okay.
invest in some player development and some teams there. They've obviously had some in-house sessions, obviously, over the winter and are pretty confident that they could go all the way in Division 1 this year.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a solid side. They were good played in Prems. They won a couple games. I think we beat them both times. But other than that,
It's funny how some of those teams that do get up there for the first time struggle a little bit, but
Yep.
they sort of understand it a little bit more. And then when they get the opportunity potentially to go back up again, they're a bit better warned and
Yep.
forearmed with it.
Well, unfortunately, they went up last year and didn't really recruit. I don't know any names that might have been a couple they might have got. But
Yep.
Unfortunately, you got to, which
Yep.
we found out. I tried my hard out to recruit, but
Yep.
Anyway,
It is what it is.
yeah, it is.
So, little early season prediction for Woodville. Where do you see
they'll
them
be
sort
top-
of be
top
around the
3
place?
or 4, I reckon. Won't
Yep.
they, in that top 4?
Do you
see
think
that.
the home ground advantage, and we'll talk about some of these home
Yeah.
ground advantage, do you think the home ground
I
advantage
always-
might
I
actually
don't
help
mind
them?
their deck. I don't mind that.
It's not a carpet, is it? It's
No,
more of a
it's-
softer.
yeah. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it runs reasonably
Yep,
well. So
yep.
certainly good luck to Woodville there, and thank you to Doc for providing his report. Probably the funniest, I suppose, spiel that we've got was from Millswood.
Yeah. You read it out again, Pete, because I didn't get the Div
No,
1
that's
times
okay.
out.
Millswood, well, let's just talk about Millswood in
I like-
general,
I
right
did-
from the get-go, is that they've progressed over the years.
have.
And I'm playing at Ascot on Wednesday, trial game, and we were talking to some of the Ascot boys, and they were saying, like, Millswood was basically ready to close the doors
Yeah.
5, 6, 7,
Yep.
maybe 8 years ago. And they got night owls there, and all of a sudden all the uni students went there, and then they hung onto some for pennants. And they've just progressed year by year by year up the ladder, haven't they?
Did you see their comment on the Facebook site? Something about the bar takings. We hope the bar takings go up this year.
They
they
like
knock
a
'em
drink.
back,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Their big recruits: Dave Robertson, Joe Caruso, Roger. Now again,
Here we
apologies
go.
for the
Roger
pronunciation. Zaran Chanello and Stu Crutchley. So.
Okay.
Couple of names there, but
Yep.
I'm just impressed with how they've resurrected the club and
Yeah.
have been able to advance year
Yeah.
after year.
No,
and
good on 'em.
they're in Div 1 this year.
I love it down there. Beautiful little club.
I've
and
not actually played there
where
yet.
it's tucked away. The greens are good. Grass greens.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lovely little spot. Yeah.
Obviously, a bit of fun being had there by Matthew Sexton. Sort of with a couple of predictions there. He sort of had Hawthorn and West Lakes playing off in the decider.
Oh.
Would be good, but I think there's a couple of teams that might be ahead of us there. But no, good fun there. But certainly coming up from Division 2 to Division 1 is a good challenge for them. I think
good on 'em.
that might be about where they're at. And obviously Port Noarlunga and Marion, which we'll talk about,
Yeah.
might be the sort of front
Yeah.
runners there in Division 1. So it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, mate.
Will be.
Let's play a little. No, actually, we'll play a little bit of a little ad here, and we'll get into Around the Regions. All right, mate, around the regions now. At the moment, because it is our first episode and first and second episode, we're putting the call out to any of the regional clubs to just provide us a little bit of information with what's happening in your country association. But we're quite lucky to have you here, mate, because you're pretty in touch with the Barossa and Light Association. I know your previous podcast there, you used to talk about it during the summer period there, and I'm sure you've got some names and some teams that you'd like to talk about tonight.
Yes, I have, Pete. So we'll go to the Barossa and Light Bowls, Pete.
Yep.
First one is, I'll talk about the Tanunda side. So they've got a couple ins, 3 ins actually. Kevin Absalom and Greg Cruikshank and Brad Peck, who I played with that got him to Payneham last year.
Yep.
He's going back as a coach, so he'll be a very, very handy in.
Yep.
Finished bottom last year. I can see him going up the ladder, whether it's in the top 4, I'm not too sure.
Yep.
3 very good names. Wouldn't mean much to you, Pete.
No, but like to hear these names so we get to know them.
Yeah, and I believe only at this stage, one out of that top side, and I think Ruley had a year off last year to back like yourself.
Yep.
But he's going back to Lyndoch. He lives at Williamstown, so he's going back to Lyndoch. Yep. I'll just run through these a little bit quicker.
No.
So waiting on what new have got in, but I quickly talked to Brownie this afternoon, and one he said that's come back is Steve Kurtz, who's a renowned winemaker up there in the Barossa.
Right.
Kurtz Family Vineyards.
Well, we might be looking for sponsors here, so maybe we could
of red at least
put them on the table here, and away we go.
He's coming back to have a run. One possible out could be Roger Machos, a long servant life member.
Yep.
Not too sure whether he's going to bowl yet this year, so I'll just keep running through.
No, absolutely.
Go to Lyndoch. So obviously they're in is Chris Rule.
Yep.
And Dennis Traeger. Dennis played at Payneham for a couple of years, as did Chris. Chris is a state. What did he win? Singles. He's won just about everything in bowls.
Yes.
Played 14 state games. The only out that I've heard so far is Steve Heinze. He's having a year off.
Yep.
I just want to shout out Ashton Marnie. He's playing in the state under 18s. He's made the state under 18s.
Fantastic.
He goes away soon, whenever.
Yeah, the 18th of October, I think, up at Club Tweed. We're going to talk about some of the teams.
I knew you'd know that.
Yep, some of the teams a little bit later on, or the representative teams.
So I'll go on to Kapunda. I haven't heard much from Kapunda. I haven't talked to Greenie lately, Adrian Green.
They're usually around the mark.
Always around the mark.
But they've lost a couple?
They lost 3 that I know of out of that top side. It's obviously Kevin Absalom, Greg Cruikshank, and Peter Lucat.
Yep.
Peter's come over to Walkerville.
Yep.
He's sort of part of the reason getting me there.
Yep.
But while I'm
getting the old crew back together a little bit.
Yeah. Well, see how we go.
Yep.
Jade, I'm going to sing out to Jaden Green. He's only about 11 or 12 years old.
Made the state representative for under 18.
Sorry, Katrina. I should know how old Jaden is. Under 18s, unbelievable talent, that lad.
Yep.
So
comes from fair stock though. Let's preface that. Adrian's pretty good, and so is Katrina.
Yeah,
so
he can bowl a bit,
just a little bit.
So we'll shout out to him. Freeling, I know, a struggling club out there, small club. Haven't heard much from them, but I know they're struggling on numbers. So anybody is looking for a bowl out that way of Freeling, growing town, but just struggle to recruit. Night owls and that sort of thing. But Julie Campbell's one that has left. She's gone back to Angaston, more as a part-time bowler there.
Yep.
So your Dunder's an interesting one. Set out early season, sort of 100 years this year, so that's centenary. Yeah, so Jimmy Marta from West Lakes. I don't know whether do you know Jimmy? He played 3, usually 3 in their top side. He's heading back.
Yep.
His dad plays there, Billy.
Yep.
So he's heading back. I have heard a couple other names, but perhaps I won't sprout them out until I definitely find out.
Yeah, no, we'll save that for maybe pretty close to round 1 when we talk about around the regions. Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, so I won't sprout any more out there.
Yep.
Angaston, we've got an in. I played with a young chap at Payneham for a year. He came down here, Pash.
Yes.
Trevor Pake's his name, but he likes to be known as Pash.
Pash, yep.
So he's coming back, which is good to see. Play a few tournaments around the state with Pash.
Yep.
So he's coming back. John A. Voigt's obviously one that's he's gone to Adelaide. He's won everything, country everything.
Yep.
Last year, and I believe his dad's gone too. He had played at Angaston as well. So one to go. We've got Mount Pleasant. Haven't heard, but I've got some feelers out there who, if they have another town, just out range a bit, small town.
Yes.
Always looking for players. So anybody out there in Mount Pleasant, Eden Valley, Springton area,
Yes.
even Birdwood, looking for a bowl, join up. The one out is obviously Dennis Trugg. He's gone back to Lyndoch. His wife bowls there, and he lives in Williamstown. So he's gone back to Lyndoch. So, yeah, it's hard to say. If I have a quick look, I'd say Anguston will go top probably again.
Yep.
Newry have got to be around the mark. They're always around the mark. Lyndoch have recruited pretty well. The year before, they got about 3 or 4 Freeling players.
Yep.
And Kapunda are probably the other. They're probably my top 4. Yadunda unknown. See who they get.
Yep.
Jimmy's going to be a big in. But Anguston, I think it's 5 in a row or 6 in a row. Something like that. So
Going to be around the mark again. Well, we'll keep an eye on the ins and outs there, and we'll follow up, obviously, closer to round 1. But, mate, that's fantastic. We want to try and get the country regions involved with the podcast
Absolutely.
at some stage. We might even have some players from out there or a regional bowls manager come on the show and actually just give us a bit of an overview of what's going on. And then the big one for us will probably be Country Carnival. Obviously, everyone's down here, so spend a bit of time at some of the venues and try and get a few, few words from some of the players, and we'll go from there.
Just quickly before I finish on that, any club around that Barossa area, if you've got some tournaments coming up, give us a hoy. Find me on Facebook. There is one. There's a Cosmo Fours at Newryup on the 24th of November.
Yep.
9:30 for a 10 o'clock start. Just ring Brownie on the 17th. Entries closed on the 17th of November. Ring Brownie 0429 466 483. So that's Brenton Brown. So
Perfect.
If anybody's interested, and do please sing out Tanunda and any other clubs, just let me know.
Yep, absolutely. Mate, thank you for that report
No worries.
on the Barossa and Light. Always like going up to Kapunda there, playing under the roof.
The dome.
Not quite under the dome, but under the roof
yeah.
there. And you generally plays pretty well there, so
good.
absolutely. All right, mate, we're going to take a very, very quick break. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk some state events. We're going to talk a little bit on the bowls tipping, and then we're going to move on to, generally we're going to talk about our players' interview, and we'll promote that a little bit more as well.
You're listening to the Drive to Draw podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
All right, mate, we move on with the state events. The first state event on the Bowls SA calendar is the State Mixed Pairs, played on the 27th of October. Obviously, sectionals there. Entries did close on the 29th, but I did see that Bowls SA extended it until about Wednesday of this week. They're saying that they've got about 250 entries, so it's a big number.
It's a big day.
It's a big day, exactly
day.
right. Obviously, going through a couple of the entries there, the two probably the biggest ones that probably spiked my interest was last year's champions in Kate Argent-Bowden and Nathan Black.
Fair pair.
Absolutely. A little bit of a well-spirited final last year, but once they got on top, and I think
Yeah, I watched it on the
live stream,
live
absolutely.
stream,
And probably the other one that spiked my interest a little bit was Kerry Talor and Ashley Close reuniting. I think they won it 3 years in a row, or a couple of years in a row there, and they missed one for a year and then won again. So I'd expect them to be around the mark. I reckon 2 years ago, we played them in our sectional. It was almost the section from hell because we had Millsy in one, Kerry and Ashley in the other, and Kathy and myself, and it was the third pair. So it was almost the group of death there.
Yeah.
But no, played quite well and enjoyed it. But yeah, they're probably the ones that I'd be looking out for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You having you're not playing in the state mixed?
I played with Julie Campbell. She's was playing out of Freeling. She was at Anguston then, but
yes.
She's back at Anguston now, and she's away. She's gone to babysit dogs or something over in Victoria. So I usually play with Julie, but
giving it a miss this year.
We've had a miss.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Obviously, like we said, 250 entrants there. Great result, obviously, for bowls, and it is the first event on the calendar. So I think everyone's just itching to get on the greens as much as possible. Yeah, I'm playing with Kathy Miller again this year. We had a year off last year, and I almost snagged her for the club pairs, but someone else had already asked her before I had a chance to. But we'd been talking about the mixed probably for the last couple of months, so it was like if I'm fit and ready to go, then we'll play. Yep. So absolutely looking forward to it. All right, mate. Let's move on. Bowls tipping. All right, let's talk SA Bowls tipping once again. Thanks to Brad and Liv there for getting the tipping up and going again for this year. Entries are now open. We did open them a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't have a draw then. The NBA did release the draw during the week, and I believe that over the weekend, I think that's all going to be updated. So entries are $25, and then depending on the number of entries will depend on the prize money. There is a little bit of prize money that will go, a little bit of money entry fee wise will go to the people who design the program for us to be able to do it. And there's a portion that we're also going to set aside for junior bowls. So not juniors as in our state representatives, but maybe a worthy junior. We might run a bit of a competition at some stage that a up and coming junior or a brand new junior, we might be able to provide some prize money there for a new set of bowls or a new shirt or a hat or whatever that we can sort of rustle up through that. So there's a bit of initiative there that everyone can get involved with and get behind.
Very good.
Last couple of years, last year they didn't run it, but the year before, had around about 50, 60 entries in that. I know a few people have sort of said, what about the anti-gambling laws for sports and bits and pieces like that?
It's a bit of fun, isn't
it is a bit of fun, and it is across two divisions, so it's not Premier League players only tipping on their games, but they're also tipping on Division 1. So it's a bit hard to influence results, I suppose, based upon on that there anyway. And it is a bit of fun as well.
I think you tip your own side unless you, I don't
know. I know I tipped my side more than what I normally would the year before, and it got me in a bit of trouble, but that's the way it goes anyway. All right, mate, let's move on. Players interview.
Players interview.
All right, mate, this is where we'd bring in our special guest. We're just going to promote, obviously, Nathan Black being our first guest coming up in episode 3. Really looking forward to speaking to Blackie, not only about his journey in bowls, but some of the recent successes that he's had, I think, over in Dubbo a couple of weeks ago, and then the state side coming up as well.
He's won everything, hasn't he, just about?
Pretty much, so really looking forward to that. All right, mate, let's scoot on into the extra ends. All right, mate, to kick us off for extra ends, let's look at some tournaments that are going on. Torrensville playing on the, 13th of October, a fours medley, 9:30 for a 10 a.m. start, $120 per team. That there should be an absolutely fantastic event.
Must be on the grass because the
dome's been taken down,
Yep.
Obviously...
Good greens.
Torrensville always did have pretty good greens there.
Yeah.
how do you see their move, obviously, over to the new location, just
Yeah.
Almost across the road, I think
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
I don't even know.
I think
didn't
it's
even know
near
where
the
they're going.
cemetery there or just
Oh,
behind.
okay. Gee, as long
Or
as
it might
it's
be
not
the other side. It
cemetery.
might be behind the brickworks, actually.
Okay.
It's somewhere in that
Okay.
that
'Cause
region
they
there.
were sort of talking go to Lockleys, weren't they? Just
Yes.
At one stage.
Yeah.
But, okay, they're only moving.
Yep.
Yep.
Around from memory, I didn't actually put it down here on my run sheet, but I think it's about 2,500 in prize money. So,
Yep.
a good day out. I
Yeah.
did play in that a couple of years ago. Some pretty handy players go out there,
Yeah.
trying to look for
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of form as well.
That's right. It's good time of the year.
Exactly. The second tournament on our extra ends list is the Tranmere Bowling Club Open Skins, Sunday the 20th of October, 9 for 9:30 start and $100 per team. Always a great day out there at Tranmere.
I love Tranmere. I don't mind the greens, and cover over the top's quite nice on a hot day.
Yep.
So yeah.
Sometimes the front green, you go, "Ugh," but you
Yeah.
get out the back. It's actually really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nice. So
yeah.
really looking forward to that. So if anyone's looking for some tournaments, get your fours together or your pairs together, whatever tournament we've got going for whatever discipline.
Yep.
But on this occasion, it's fours. So and lunch provided for all that.
And
so,
again, clubs just sing out, either contact me or Pete.
Yep.
Just say, hey, we've got a tournament running, and we can put it on the running
on
sheet
the run
here
sheet.
and
Yep.
give it a bit of a shout out.
Absolutely. All right, mate. BPL, let's move on to BPL Cup. The finals were played at Modbury on the weekend. The winning team was from Berry.
That's very good.
It is very good. I like that.
Some good bowlers there.
Yep.
I mean, Hilly, both the hills.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, there you go. I know the Walkerville side were just pipped on the post, so Pete was telling me.
Yep.
So good luck to them.
Absolutely. I think they head off to Pine Rivers there in November
luck to
to
them.
compete in the BPL Cup. So not only winning it here in SA, they get a trip up
Yeah,
to
good
Queensland
on
there. So fantastic. Talking about BPL, BPL 20 coming up. The Adelaide Pioneers, obviously our local team here. But a big in for Adelaide. Lainey McGorman gets her chance. Caitlin Inch obviously unavailable for this event.
Okay, unavailable.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
Good on Laney though. Bowled with Laney. I think did you?
No, I reckon
just
she left the
missed her?
year. Yep, that
She
I
went to
that I
Adelaide.
arrived. Yep,
But yeah, great bowler, great person, and deserves her chance.
absolutely. State singles champion. I think went pretty much all the way in the Champ of Champs against Kelsey Cottrell. So
Oh yeah,
some
she
pretty
did. Yep,
handy
watched some
bowls
of
there.
that. Yep.
Getting her opportunity there, and really looking forward to tuning in.
Yep.
If you are looking to watch it, KO do have it live
Fox.
stream and Fox
Yep.
as well. If you've got it on Fox. And I reckon, definitely, I know that they have it on YouTube as far
Yep.
as their Live Bowls Australia live stream. But I reckon KO do some sort of like free games where they
Yep.
play certain games on certain days. Where if you don't have a KO subscription, you can still watch it
Oh,
if you
okay.
want to watch it
Yep.
online there as well.
Have we got a date? When's that?
That would be around about the 11th of November, off memory, but I'll double,
No, that's
triple,
okay.
quadruple check that one
It's all
there.
good.
National events, Open Women's team has been announced. Actually, I think that was this afternoon. Some pretty handy bowlers popping up there for the Women's Open side. Let's just have a bit of a look.
Yeah, you name them too.
I do.
Like,
Karen Gatto,
yeah.
Sheridan Bodnar, Tasman Jenke, and Lainey McGorman. That's a pretty solid rink.
okay. Wow.
Second rink, Grace Maloney, Sharon Kavanagh, Renata Callisto, and Kate Argent-Bowden.
Yep.
Pretty handy there. Evie Exton, Debbie Dennis, Kath Greenslade, and Catherine Green, or Katrina Green, sorry.
Call it
Kat, yep. And obviously the coach, Tony Lucas,
Yep.
and Marie Roberts is the team manager. So
Okay.
really looking forward to seeing how that
See how
team
they
goes.
go.
It's pretty solid.
It is. Absolutely.
Playing at Tweed there on the
Oh,
17th or
nice.
18th as part of the Nationals Carnival, which is going to wreak havoc with round 1 and round 2 of the pennant season. But we'll talk about that one a
wow.
little bit later. So congratulations there,
Absolutely.
obviously, to those teams selected. And we'll bring a couple of those over the next episode or two. Couple of quick questions to finish this off, mate. Congratulations goes to the Master Builders Association on winning at Soldiers Point last week.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
Otherwise, Peter Luke would have
Yep.
kicked me in the backside, and probably Nikolai,
Yes,
Johnny Nikolai,
yes.
and a few of the boys there. in Green Shields.
Yes.
So, good luck to them. They've done well.
They have. I think they won 2 years ago at Tweed and last year. Not sure what happened last year, but the year. But this year, obviously, winning at Soldiers Point.
Well done to them.
Very, very well. And probably a last one, mate. A bit of a hot topic. Pennant season draw seemed to be very, very late. Premier players sort of getting itchy and wanting to know what's going on.
I mean, even I was getting itchy, and you just didn't know what was sort of going to go on. But I know it's a lot of organisation, and comes down to the 15th point, and so.
I suppose it's about having clubs that have enough greens and rinks available. That's probably the big one.
We're in a situation this year. The
you're
club's
sharing
coming down, and so we're going to play home. I think that could change again, but we were going to play the front half at home because the club's going to stay for a while and then over to Toorak. But anyhow, time will tell with that.
Absolutely.
But, I suppose it's a lot of organisation, but anyway, people are getting a bit.
They're getting a bit itchy for some sort of, and I suppose with the Nationals coming up, there's certain players that could have arranged, or certain clubs could have arranged marquee games maybe on a Friday night to be able to fit everything in and everyone in. It makes it hard. I sort of get it, but being that it was released so late, it made it hard. I mean, we were having a meeting on Wednesday after our pennant, going, "What do you want to do? There might be an opportunity that you're playing 4 days in a row." And so on and so on. So
that was a nightmare though last year in that Premier League. We didn't know when we were playing, and then it got changed.
I think the Premier League and perhaps Div 1 is you could make one game per round a marquee game.
Yeah.
And then we could live stream it as an example and promote obviously more and more bowls in SA. And most clubs have got reasonable enough lights, if not bloody brilliant lights, to be able to do that. And we've just got to obviously get the equipment, ready to go for that. But if just throwing it out there, and we'd love to hear anybody's comments on this, is that maybe make one game a week so that way every team gets a marquee time slot on a Friday night maybe.
Last year you just didn't seem to know when you were playing, and it got changed, and then it was back and forward. If they can put it down beginning of the season, then you know where you are.
Yep.
And everybody knows where they're playing.
And it works better for people, that work. You can, maybe have a Friday afternoon off, but then maybe work on the Saturday or work from home on the weekend, or spend more time with the family, which is always what everyone's crowing out for. All right, mate. Thank you for episode 1. We're going to roll on in a minute and reset everything for episode 2. And then come next Thursday, will be episode 3, and we'll have Blackie and we'll have our interviews all ready to go. We might have some team selection news, so we'll have a bit of a look at that as well.
Interesting.
Absolutely, mate. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for listening, guys. If you haven't done it yet, like, rate, and subscribe. We'll put it on our socials as well, through our Facebook group, Facebook page, and any podcast provider or YouTube channel that you see us there. Make sure you like it and subscribe.
Yep.
Thanks, mate.
Sounds good.